Today on the Dad the Best I Can show.
That's one of the things that I think the scouting program really helps with is most boys have challenges just like we all do, speaking in public or advocating for yourself, etc. And scouting really helps the boys mature in all of those ways. And they take on all kinds of leadership challenges along the way as well.
Hey now, welcome to the Dad the Best I Can show. My name is Rob Roseman, who wants to be a millionaire legend, Chicago futures trader, Vegas poker pro. Now I'm a dad to 3 kids, ages 6, 4, and 1. Phew, wears me out just thinking about it. Each week we're bringing on dads like you to tell us your stories, your tips and tricks to help all of us make it through dad life. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Now let's get on with the show. All right, welcome to the Dad the Best I Can show. We are lucky to be joined by Matt Benati. Matt is the CEO and co-founder of LeadGnome, and he's also a dad. How's it going today, Matt?
Going well. Thanks, Rob.
Where are you calling in from today, Matt?
I'm in the Boston area. Weather is going to be great finally. We finally got a spring coming.
Yes, baseball season when it starts, I know is always kind of frigid up there, but
Yeah. Opening games at Fenway are a little chilly, that's for sure.
yeah, it seems like they just win I don't know when that happened, that Boston sports wins every championship. It's a little frustrating for those of us that don't live there.
Yeah, I definitely see it as different on this side, but a lot of my family, lives in upstate New York and, like they're Buffalo fans and they're getting a little tired of it too, for sure.
Yes. So Matt, you are a dad. How old are your kids?
I have a daughter who is 18 and a son who's 21.
Oh, all right. You've got older kids. I'm used to talking to people with like 1, 2, and 8-year-olds. So it's good to have somebody with some more wisdom that's gone through it all.
I don't know about wisdom, but we'll do our best.
Yes. So Matt, we connected on LinkedIn through Sangram Vajre, another co-founder and dad that we had on the show. And you were excited to hop on and talk about your dad life, specifically about your son's life as a Boy Scout. My son just started Boy Scouts. I think he's a tiger. I can't even keep up with all the names. Tigers, lions, bears. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about how your son had such a great run with Scouts and the benefits from it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's going to be a great journey. I mean, hopefully your son sticks with it. It's not always, an easy thing because there's so many distractions or fun things, I guess, that kids get pulled into these days. But my son started like yours right at the beginning as a Tiger Scout, and then went through all of the Cub Scout parts. And, I participated right from the beginning, volunteered, because you really do need adult help in the scouting program, especially in the Cub Scouts, right? Because it's mostly adult led. And then he transitioned over to, they call it, what's it called? There's a ceremony, and I can't remember exactly now what it's called, but they cross over into Boy Scouts, and that's where the boys actually take over, right? And the adults start to take a step backwards and let the scouts lead everything. And I think that's just a wonderful maturation process for the boys.
Oh yeah, I think we saw that ceremony with the older kids, and they did it at night with a campfire and everything, and it was really cool to see. My kids were excited to see it. So hopefully we make it through that process.
Yeah, it's wonderful when the troop, when the Cubs go from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts, and the troop members show up from the troop to see that transition. Right, the boys respect the older boys, and it's just wonderful because they look at it as some goals, and they look at some folks that are older. They look up to them. And it really helps bring them across and give them enthusiasm and some goals that they can shoot for. What I really like about the whole program is that they understand that activity is good for boys, right? And masked in the activities, the merit badges, right? There's sort of incentive programs, positive incentive program built into it. We can take a lot away from that even as professionals, right? So there's this positive incentive program every step of the way. And the challenges grow up just like the boys grow up, right? So the merit badges become more challenging. They become more in depth. You have more choice as the scout grows. And the leadership opportunities grow. That's one of the things that I think the scouting program really helps with is most boys have challenges just like we all do, speaking in public or advocating for yourself, etc. And scouting really helps the boys mature in all of those ways. And they take on all kinds of leadership challenges along the way as well. So it's a growth through the entire program. My son eventually eagled, and then he eagled fairly young, which allowed him to really help with the troop and work with the younger boys, which was great.
Yeah, I've read some stat that like only less than 5% of Boy Scouts become Eagle Scouts, and there's just some crazy statistic of astronauts, congressmen that are Eagle Scouts. So it's clearly a great badge to have. Was that your son's? Like, was that self-driven, or was that you pushing him? You said you were involved as a scout leader as well. How much of that was on him, and how much of that was you pushing him to continue?
So most of it was on him, especially as he grew, through the program. I think early on, it's up to us as adults to show them what it could be. The thing that really triggered it for my son is we went up. So we live in the Boston area, and our camp, if you will, right, where all the different troops around here go to for summer camp and so on, is in New Hampshire. And so we traveled up there for I think it's called Webelow Woods or something like that. But basically, as the boys get older and Cub Scouts about to transition, they host, or at least around here, there's a hosted weekend overnight. And so we went up there, and I knew my son was really going to love Scouts and the outdoor activity when the hurricane, literally the ending of a hurricane, hit New England. And so we spent the weekend in driving rain, you know what I mean? And he just loved it. He loved being outdoors no matter what it was. And some troops have more of that or less of that, but I knew that he was mentally tough enough to sort of say, yeah, no, this is fun. I want to go do this kind of thing. And it's not for everyone, but I'm really glad he stuck with it because, as I mentioned, just all of the great benefits of scouting have really helped. When he was applying for colleges and going for interviews, he'd already had 30 interviews, right? Because in Scouts, all of the work that you do in order to get the next rank, you are interviewing, if you will, with a Scoutmaster and a border review each and every time. And you're in the community helping with different aspects of service. And so you're leading service opportunities. And all of that work, you can tell that somebody has been in that type of position, having to discuss topics and interact with people more, older than them in a typically nervous situation. And I think Scouts have an edge in that regard.
Yeah, and you were saying where is he at school now? He's getting, what is it, engineering degree or?
Yeah, he's at Purdue. He's a junior in the aerospace program.
Oh, awesome. My wife graduated from Purdue, small world. She's from that area, and it's a great engineering school.
Yeah, he fell in love with it. He really likes it there. It's a great school, a great curriculum. He rock climbs, and they have an incredible rock gym there. For anybody who's thinking about that.
Yeah, great campus too. I'd never been, but we went and visited and tailgated, and we had a great time. So that's awesome. And yeah, it's funny. A lot of these things, they almost seem like old fashioned, Boy Scouts, I feel like have maybe fallen out of favor, or that would have been my thought. But at the same time, it seems like you were saying, it's almost more important than ever because where else are kids going to get these kind of experiences? They're probably indoors more, they're playing more video games and TV. So almost to have that structured opportunity to be outside and be around other kids seems like it is a great time to be a Boy Scout. So I'm glad we joined, and hopefully we'll continue. We're a little bit overscheduled with baseball and piano and this and that, but we're going to try and stick with Scouts as long as we can.
Yeah. It's I can't say enough about the program. In some aspects, I live vicariously through my son. Right, I was always there and helping, but as the boys grow, again, you put as much responsibility onto them, and really the adults back off unless it's a safety issue. And it's really interesting to see how that dynamic works, but it plays in their favor, right, because of those interactions. So yeah, I would encourage any boy, and my daughter is in Girl Scouts, and there's a lot of similarities between the two programs, which has been great.
So there's more to Girl Scouts than just the cookies. That's all I see are 12 boxes every month in our house.
Yeah. No, they nowadays have, very similar to the Eagle. They have different, their medals, right? There's silver, gold award, that kind of thing. And there's a lot of service involved there too, and a lot of maturing that happens as the interactions with community and so on. So I think that what I always thought, like you, Girl Scouts, it just blew my mind away. I think that the girls have a great program, and you can see a difference there as well.
Let's take a quick break for our Dad Tip of the Week, brought to you by Kickstart Reading. Do you have kids between the ages of 3 and 6? I've got 2 boys, and when my older son was going into kindergarten, my wife and I quickly learned that we had no idea how to teach him how to read. We found Kickstart Reading and watched one 2-minute video together, and you could see his confidence take off. Bonus, I felt like Dad of the Year. Here's another dad talking about how Kickstart Reading is helping his boys learn how to read.
Hey there, this is Chris Heller, and I'm a big fan of Kickstart Reading. Each morning before school, I show a video to my 4.5-year-old son, and now his little 2-year-old brother is getting in on the action as well. I'm a big fan of the videos, highly consumable and engaging for young boys. Definite recommend for all parents out there who are looking to get their kids off to the right start with reading. Kickstart Reading.
Go to kickstartreading.com and use the code DAD to get 65% off right now. That's D-A-D, DAD. See? It works. kickstartreading.com. Now back to the show. You've been through it. You're still going through it, 21 and 18, but I'm sure you've learned a lot along the way. Do you have one dad tip for other dads out there?
Yeah, I do. I've been thinking about this a lot, actually, since we said, hey, let's get on a call and have this discussion. And I have to say, I learned this through scouting, frankly. One of the aspects of scouting is that the boys rely on each other and themselves. And to the point where in our troop, as new adults come into the troop, right, with their boys, the scoutmaster always takes that new crop aside and says the following: your son on a trip or in an activity is going to come to you when they have a problem. It is your sole responsibility to make sure you don't answer that problem. Instead, redirect them to the scout leader. That's another boy, right? The SPL, the senior patrol leader. And there's a ranking, right? And so what they're doing is they're training the adults to allow the boys to work through any issue by themselves. And if it can't be worked out for whatever reason, obviously there's adult support there. But in life, it's so important that our kids learn to overcome adversity first through their own possibilities, right? Their own thought process. And so I would encourage everyone to allow that space for their boy or girl to think through a problem before our immediate knee-jerk reaction, which is, let me help you solve this problem, right? Because we want to protect our kids. And for most of us, it's just instinctual, right? Oh, here's the solution. But, there's a million solutions to problems. And I think we help our kids become stronger adults, if we let them think through and resolve their own problems, we can be there to be a sounding board, but let them have enough space to make some of those choices, make mistakes, right? And then figure those out as well. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, that's great and so helpful even to the younger kids. I can have a 30-minute battle with my 4-year-old to tie his shoes, but it's like it can be you figure it out yourself, even if it takes some time, and create that, self-reliance. I think my wife's fantastic at that, and I actually interviewed her dad. How do you create, self-reliant kids? And I think stuff like the Scouts, and really it's on us as parents to kind of sit back and let them figure it out, and that can be frustrating sometimes, right? But the results
Right.
speak for themselves.
Yeah, and I think along with that is we're so scheduled, and adults panic in those situations, and so a little extra tip there is allow yourself the time so that if something like that comes up, you have the time to let them, have their tantrum or think through a problem or whatever it is, and you're not, horrifically late to whatever it is you're going to.
I'm going to apply that on Monday when we have to get ready for school. That's a great tip, right? I might even have to set the clocks back about 10 minutes just so we can try this out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly.
All right, Matt, this was fantastic. I'm excited, and we've got a scout camping trip coming up that now we're looking forward to even more. Where can people learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah. So LeadGnome is a B2B SaaS solution for sales and marketing folks. We take care of a problem that until recently AI wasn't able to help with, but now it can. And that's all of the replies coming back from emails being sent by sales and marketing people, right? All those auto responses that basically clog up your mailbox. We automate the process of reviewing each and every one of those, extracting all the great data, helping sales and marketing with that fresh data. And you can learn more about it at LeadGnome.com.
I appreciate you being on the Dad the Best I Can show, Matt, and we'll talk soon. Thanks for being on.
Hey, I loved it. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you guys for listening to the Dad the Best I Can show. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Actually, 5 stars. We could do better than that. Brooks? Infinity stars. Cameron, how many stars?
Infinity 1,000.
Infinity 1,000. You got to one-up them in this household. Thanks. See ya.